All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, with one more game to go in this NFL season, we know that the start of the offseason is just around the corner. Now, last year, we saw the New York Giants and running back Saquon Barkley failed to agree on a long-term deal, which resulted in the Pro Bowl running back being hit with the franchise tag. Now, Barkley, like most players, does not want to get tagged again, but it is a possibility. Now, in my opinion, the Giants are not going to offer Barkley more money this year than they did last year, just due to the fact that he now has another year of tread on those tires. And, at the end of the day, and it's unfortunate from the business aspect of the National Football League, life simply is not fair to running backs. But if the Giants decided to not at least put the franchise tag on Barkley and allow him to become a free agent, I don't think that the Pro Bowl running back would be out of work for that long because I do see some teams out there that could be interested in him. I think the Los Angeles Chargers, Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans, Baltimore Ravens, and even possibly the Kansas City Chiefs could all make sense for Barkley's services. Now, the Chargers definitely need more out of their running game. And you know that that is going to be a focus for the Lightning Bolts under new head coach Jim Harbaugh. Now, the Cowboys' run game has not been the same since they bid farewell to Ezekiel Elliott. And just for the sake of argument, going to Dallas would give Barkley a chance to face the Giants twice a year and show them what they would be giving up on. Now, as far as Houston goes, we know that quarterback CJ Stroud is the real deal. More than likely, he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year for this season in the National Football League. And if you're the Texans, now is the time to load up around him while he's on that rookie contract. Now, the Ravens, they do have depth at the running back position, but you can never have enough of a good thing. And in the case of the Chiefs, the reason why I bring it up is this: it would give them another leader on offense, which definitely wouldn't hurt. But however, I do feel that that's a long shot because Kansas City, they have a penchant of not paying their own guys. So why would they give Barkley money in free agency? That would be the big thing. Now, for me, I do feel that the Giants would be fools to allow Barkley to walk out the door. And the reason why I say it is he's their leader. And when I say their leader, I do believe he's the only leader that they have on that team. And he's also their best player. And I said this last year, others have said it as well. Last year in free agency, when it came down to Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, the Giants paid the wrong guy. What hurt Saquon Barkley, number one, being a running back. We've seen how NFL owners have been skeptical at best to give running backs long-term deals. Saquon Barkley's injury history as well factored into that. And then on top of that, you got a general manager in Joe Shane and a head coach in Brian Daboll currently for the Giants that did not draft him. Now, of course, Saquon in 2022 had his best season in the National Football League. First time he was fully healthy since his rookie year back in 2018. 1,312 yards on the ground. He showed up as a receiver coming out of the backfield as well. And like I said before, he was a leader for this team. Now, his productivity did take a step back this past season. He was unable to get to the 1,000-yard mark. That ankle, or rushing at least, but that ankle injury early in the season really, played into that, as well as the fact of the Giants' issues at the quarterback position. I mean, you look at the New York Giants this past season, three different quarterbacks. Of course, things really got off on the wrong foot with that Dallas game, then Daniel Jones getting injured early in the season. But you're talking about a Giants offense that only had 15 passing touchdowns for the entire season. And Tommy DeVito led this team in touchdown passes, and he only played a handful of games. We're talking about New York Giant quarterbacks this past season that were sacked 85 times. So that just gives you, an insight to the offensive line and so many other issues on this team. But one thing that Saquon does have going for him, he's only 26 years of age. I know that's old in running back years, if you want to call it that. But I think Saquon has a lot to give to left to give to the Giants, and if they don't want that, he has a lot more to give to another team in the National Football League. Now, make no mistake about it. I've said this before, and I will continue to say this. This upcoming off season for the Giants is going to be a very important one for General Manager Joe Shane and head coach Brian Daboll. And one mistake that they could possibly make, in my opinion, it would be allowing Saquon Barkley to leave town. Another mistake that I feel that the Giants would make is in this upcoming NFL draft if they do not address the quarterback position, because it could be very costly for them. Because if this Giants organization rather, goes into this offseason and simply says, you know what, let's continue to try to build around Daniel Jones. Uh, I don't think Shane and Dayball each get fired after the season. General managers typically tend to last longer than head coaches, but nonetheless, I think the wheels would then be set in motion, because I'll come flat out and say it. The Giants are not going anywhere with Daniel Jones. We've seen enough of him, in my opinion, to know that he simply is not the guy for them at the quarterback position. But whomever the Giants have going forward at the quarterback position, they need to surround him with people. And again, like I said before, Saquon Barkley brings things to this team that don't show up in the stat book, which is being a leader. Leaders are not grown on trees. And this is something that the Giants definitely need. Now, it's one of those where the Giants could be in a pinch, because I don't see Shane and the Giants going out there and giving Saquon what he feels is his fair market value. A team like the Texans, for example, due to the fact that they have a young quarterback on a rookie deal, could go out there and say, you know what, we can afford to overpay a running back like Saquon Barkley to bring him in our fold. Okay. You have a Chargers team uh, that, you know what, they could have potentially have cap issues heading into this season. Harbaugh might want him, yes, but you got to go out there and make it work financially. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to whether or not the Giants are going to pay Barkley or allow him to leave town. He talks about he wants to be a Giant for life. That's all well and good, because honestly, I do believe him in that. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and Saquon is looking to get paid and compensated in the way that he feels that he should, and the Giants are going to pay him accordingly to, or want to at least try to pay him accordingly to what they think that his market value is. You also have the John Mara factor. Now, I know in the past, John Mara likes to keep, quote unquote, his guys around. But one thing that John Mara has said publicly since bringing in Joe Shane as his general manager, there was that, you know what, he was going to stay out of the way. So I think this decision comes down to Joe Shane and, of course, Barkley's people. But I'm not sure if John Mara will say at least his piece as far as what he wants. Doesn't mean necessarily he's going to force the hand of his general manager. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. At this point, I think it's 50-50. I think from the business aspect, Saquon definitely wants to get paid, and I don't blame him. Uh, from the loyalty aspect, well, you know what? In sports, you really can't be loyal to a team, because a team more than likely won't be loyal to you. But if the Giants somehow can find a common ground or happy ground for both parties involved, Saquon Barkley will stay there. That they do have the option to franchise tag him again, but I think at the end of the day, that could just turn Saquon Barkley into a very unhappy camper if that was to be the case, because he's franchised 2 years in a row. And again, like I said, as a running back, your value on the open market is going to dip year after year after year because teams are going to be scared away from you due to the fact that that's another year of wear and tear on the position. So, we're a couple of days from the Super Bowl. Obviously, a lot of people are focused on what's going to happen with the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, and rightfully so, because this is the last game, and of course, of the season. But of course, more importantly, it's the Super Bowl. But there's so much right around the bend in the National Football League. Of course, we just saw the Senior Bowl. Before you know it, we'll be talking free agency. We'll be talking NFL draft, you name it. But nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see how this situation turns out in the next coming months for Saquon Barkley and the New York Football Giants. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.